pitches.
I think one of the most insightful things I ever heard said about cable television was said by David Chase, and he was talking about, it was when he was running The Sopranos, and what he said was that broadcast television, and I, wants to reassure people about the basic soundness of American democracy and American institutions and the basic soundness of family life, and essentially it's intended to be a reassuring experience, just like walking into a McDonald's is intended to be a reassuring experience. And there's plenty of room in a society for reliability and comfort, and that's just not what we do. We are trying to thrill people, we're trying to entertain them, we're trying to make them laugh, we're trying to compel them, but David described it as complicated psychology. I think it's artistry. I think it's people who have a voice and have something they want to say. They do also want to entertain, but they don't just want to reassure people. They want to shake them up. And I think the best programming on cable, no matter what else it does, is shocking, surprising, unexpected, unpredictable. It shakes people up. And that's hard to find. Look, it's easier to do things the way they've been done before than it is to find a wholly new way of doing things, in the way David Chase found a wholly new way of making a television show when The Sopranos came along. And I think we're still searching for that. And we'll try. I mean, I think history has shown we'll try anything, and we'll fall, very hard on our face sometimes. But and it has to be entertaining. We have to believe it's for somebody. But it's just got to have an ambition. It has to want to try something worthy of trying, different enough that if it works, it will have real resonance in a crowded field.
So I'm just going to take a shot at the question, because I actually was in the delivery room when Tony Soprano was born. That show was never was able to become the show that it was intended to be, because it was really about a man and his mother. And unfortunately, Nancy Marchand died. And wasn't able to actually act in anything other than the first season, so it became a very different show. And Tony Soprano became an iconic character. I mean, people think that these people really live. I've had so many friends come to me and go, "Okay, you know what really happened to Tony after the screen went black?" I go, "Yeah, nothing happened to Tony. David Chase stopped writing him, and Jimmy stopped playing him. He wasn't real." But I think I've said this before, and this isn't a perfect world, okay? This would be the perfect situation. You would be able to do this all the time with some version of this. When people were asking me back then, because no one really knew what HBO was doing, what I was working on, I go, "Oh, we have a show coming on, and it's about a guy who inherited a business from his dad, and he's trying to bring it into the modern age, and he's doing he's dealing with all the stuff that goes along with that. He's got an overbearing mom, and he's trying to get out from under her. He's married, he's got 2 teenage kids, so he's dealing with all that. He has a wife who he loves, but he's unhappy in his marriage. He's having an affair, and he starts seeing a shrink because he's searching for the meaning of his own life." And I would say the only difference between him and everybody I know is he's the Don of New Jersey. So I think you sort of tune in because he's the Don of New Jersey, and you stay because there's something that's completely relatable to the human experience about what those characters are going through. That doesn't happen very often. That's when something, and then it needs to be good, by the way. You could have that good idea, and then the person who has that really good idea can't make the show for 5 years or 4 years or 3 years or however many years. To John's point, something needs to be on to really make its mark. But for me, in a world of, okay, I don't control the magic, and everybody's doing a lot of really interesting stuff, a lot of really well-funded companies are doing this stuff, that's the good news. I think, okay, so what am I looking for? Well, I look for stuff that takes the audience to an interesting world. This is sort of where I start now. Takes the audience to an interesting world and presents characters so that aren't often seen on television or aren't often seen right now. So your point about Pirates or Da Vinci's Demons or Power, which is on tonight, or Outlander, or the basketball comedy that we're doing, Survivor's Remorse, that LeBron James is executive producing. To me, what they have in common, aside from the fact that I like them and I think that we have teams that can make them good, although very often things don't turn out the way that you hope they will. What those things have in common is that they're things I'm not seeing a lot of. But trust me, if a show walked in that was an unbelievable script from an unbelievable writer, and it had an anti-hero at the center of it, I'd be the first guy to sign up if they wanted to make a deal with Starz. I don't think you have the luxury of going, yeah, there's too much of that. I'm not going to try and do a really, really good version of that. There's no being the best, but I think they're still trying to be really good.
Okay,